I got a professional rank player to give me a secret rank strategy, and I'm going to expose this to you. And this strategy is so broken you could even potentially get to Unreal rank today. But before I expose the secret, let's talk about the rank changes this season. First up, we have floating islands, caches and radio towers back in the game. I think after we saw how many points was gaining last season with these gone, I think it's fairly clear to say you definitely do get some points for claiming them. Exactly how many though, I couldn't figure out. But one quick glance at competitive and you will see how heavy Epic Games are trying to push the center island. I think looking at this, it's safe to say they must have some sort of impact, with the center island giving you the most points, then the radio towers, followed by the caches, if the caches do give you anything. We also have a whole new meta added into the game with completely different guns, something that is taking over the whole of competitive this season, and that's the medallions, which I'll get into that a little bit more in a minute. But let's talk about fighting in rank this season. Fighting has definitely gone back more to the way it was before OG Fortnite, where players are looking for high ground but boxing up a lot more. It seems to be that a lot of players in rank this season are super nervous fighters and are tending to box up a lot more, which is why it's super important that you're playing a bunch of realistic 1v1s so you can learn how to take walls correctly and finish fights as quick as you can. Because of this, third parties are an absolute nightmare this season. With the smaller map as well, it just seems like you need to be making sure you're finishing them fights as quickly as possible. I actually found it so much easier to play solo versus duos than just playing ordinary solos because of this. And I've been dropping some super high kill games like 15, 20, 30 kill wins just by playing solo versus duos, but fighting two players is not for everyone, so I'll talk about the best game mode later on. But for fighting this season, you want to learn to fight quickly and be aggressive, making very small amount of errors and finishing fights quick. I'm going to make a full fighting guide later in the season, going more advanced into exactly how you can improve your fighting and breaking down different fights. But the guns I've personally been taking is a sniper, because I've got super good with them and just one tap everyone, a shotgun, then the striker AR as my follow-up weapon. In my meta video, I talked about the ARs not being too strong this season, but after using the striker AR more and more in rank, I actually realized this gun is extremely strong, and for a lot of you guys, I would actually recommend you take it over an SMG, unless you've got a mythic one, in which case it's probably preference at that point. Now, we've talked about fighting and how players are acting when fighting this season, how we need to finish fights quickly. Let's get into my Unreal rank strategy, starting this off with your drop spot. Now, there are two ways you can play rank to get points. If they didn't nerf the medallions, I would have just said without a shadow of a doubt there is only one. If you know you're a decent fighter, you would have had to have landed on the medallions. They are, or at least were, so broken this season, and it's worth dying 2 to 3 times off spawn to get one, because I cannot explain how hard it is to fight someone who's holding one. And it was literally single-handedly the meta, and if you don't have one, it's near enough impossible to win the game. So I would have said to land at any spot that has a medallion, take the guy out as quick as possible. If you're contested by a bunch of people though, I usually like to play a little slower, either kill the other players or let them get the guy low and then just come clean up. But obviously, as you know, they got enough. And I know you're probably thinking, Taven, the medallions have had enough. Is this strategy even still usable? And are they still broken? Don't get me wrong, they're not as broken as they were before. If you don't know, when holding one medallion, your health you regenerate now is capped at 50. Then if you have two, it's capped at 60, and so on, till 85, I believe, is the highest. And that's if you have all 5. They've also made the circle much smaller, making it easier for players to find your position, which is not much of a problem really in ranked. So that's not something you really have to worry about. It's more for, like, obviously if you want to avoid that. Then they also regenerate health much slower than before, and I decided to put this to the test, and I landed at Snooty, my normal drop spot, and the first thing I recognized straight away is you're definitely going to feel that regeneration speed being much slower. So the way I'd play, if you're lower rank where you're going to kill most of the players, land at any medallion spot on the map, play for that and just W key, because At the end of the day, it's still going to give you an advantage, especially if you can get it. But as soon as it gets to the point where you're dying over 3 times off spawn, and for a lot of people, this is going to be around diamond rank way, you're going to lose too many points if you're just dying over and over again, because Fortnite have actually added the consistency bonus back. If you don't know already, a couple of seasons ago, they added a consistency bonus. This means if you've had a really good game, then you die spawn, you'll lose like 2% rather than losing straight up 20%. And it's kind of the same when gaining points as well. If you're going to gain like 10%, you'll probably gain 20% if you're on a really good streak. But if you keep dying, eventually you're going to end up losing that 20%, and it's just for a few reasons really. One, to obviously make it easier to gain points, and 2, to get players who are in the wrong rank to rank up quicker, helping keep the matches fair for the players that are in it. And because of this, you want to avoid dying too many times off spawn, because it is just going to punish you. So if you're dying a load of times trying to get the medallion, or maybe you're not such a good fighter, in which case, pick any other spot on the map and master it. Then from there, you could either try to fight the medallion guy later in the game if you feel like it, or you can just avoid him. My best call really is to land at a spot like Ritzy if you want to be contested by a couple of players, or Rebel's Roost. These are super low contested spots. The players there don't often tend to be that good, and you're not going to be contested by like 50 different people like you are literally every medallion spot on the map, because people have learned now how broken it is having that medallion. So players are still landing on the medallion even after the nerf. So I'd recommend you just probably avoid them spots, especially if you're in a higher rank and you don't want to lose your point. My personal recommendation for you guys though is Ritzy, just because it will fit perfectly into our next part. But then from there, all you want to do is clear out Ritzy, or clear out your POI wherever you've landed, get all that vault loot if you landed at a place with vault, customize all your weapons and stuff, do all that good stuff, and then rotate instantly to radio tower. I'll put all the spawns on screen now, so obviously you can pick your drop spot based off these. They're going to spawn around 10, I think it's 20 seconds after the first zone is fully closed. Then all you want to do is kill the guards, put the card in, and this is going to guarantee you some points. Then obviously you want to rotate the zone, pick up mid-game kills if you're in lower elo. If you're in higher elo though, just find yourself the dead side of the zone and just play for those end-game kills or any easy snipes and stuff you can pick up along the way. If you are a decent fighter with a medallion on, it should be fairly easy to stomp through people. Then as soon as loot island spawns, you need to go instantly. It's beyond me that I've gone into ranked games where players don't even bother contesting for them, when you're probably going to gain like 15-20% points for literally capturing them. And I know it literally sounds so silly thinking that no one's going to contest that, but people don't know there's some serious points from capturing that loot island. And when it comes to mid game, my main best tips is don't let fights drag out, and don't be afraid to hop in boxes and be aggressive. Like I said before, the biggest mistake I'm seeing players make this season is letting them fights drag out. The map is a lot smaller this season. The idea behind it all at first was making everyone slower, but obviously they fixed the movement speed to make everyone happier. But the only downside of that is every single fight is going to be third party central if you don't finish it quick. So just make sure you're not letting them fights drag out if you want to win and make it to end game. Now we got that out of the way, once you get to around the top 15 to top 10 slot, you need to start playing more passive and getting the win. There's so many points for getting the win, so ensure you play for it. If you're higher ranked especially, ease off their mid-game kills a lot more and focus on trying to get your kills around the top 10 to top 7 mark. And this will allow you to maximize your kill points as well as your placement, helping build up your consistency bonus and allow you to rank out as some of those harder elite and champion rank. Because I see too many of you guys saying, Taven, I can't escape champion or late rank. I dropped 15-20 kills. I just can't get out. Then you look at their games and they've died off spawn like 7 times in a row. Then they drop a 15 kill game and they've lost like 80% from those 7 deaths. And then they've only gained like 60% from the 15 kill win, so they still end up losing points in total. And then you're wondering why you can't escape, and it's because you're not being consistent enough. And whenever I asked any of the top tier rank players for tips, they always said to me, if you're higher rank, play for kills endgame and get the win. And that's exactly how you need to start playing once you get to the elite rank. You're probably now wondering, what is the best game mode to play this season to maximize points? And again, the same as last season, this is so dependent on your situation. I'm really saying solos is probably at the bottom, and I know I'm a massive advocate for solos, but with a small map and not so many drop spots and stuff, genuinely solos is just going in the bin for me right now. I'm actually preferring to play solo duos than solo. So the way I see it is squads at the top. If you have a good squad, if you've got 4 really good players around your skill level or better than you, squads is 100% at the top as the easiest game mode or the best game mode to get points. Then obviously it's duos followed by solos last. I mean, don't get me wrong, solos can be great, especially if you can just stomp through it, and in the lower elo, solos is amazing. But as soon as you're getting up towards those higher elos, duos is going to be so much better than just sitting there and bashing out some solos. So instead, focus on trying to play more team game modes, because it's going to be much easier, especially with that smaller map. So let's do a quick recap on everything. We have the floating islands, caches and radio towers all back in the game, giving us more points. Fighting has gone back to the way it was before the OG Fortnite season, but players are tending to play a little more passive now, box fighting a lot more and trying to drag fights out. But obviously we need to try and finish these fights as quickly as possible, so make sure you're practicing a lot of 1v1s, a lot of realistics, so you can become a great fighter. There's 2 ways you can play ranked as well, and if you're a lower rank, you should definitely go and focus on getting them medallions and W keying your way up. If you get to a point where you're dying a lot trying to do that strategy, then make sure you're landing at a more quieter place, just focusing on getting yourself to endgame and getting all them placement points. Once you wipe off spawn, try and rotate your radio tower as soon as possible, because it's a great way to get points. And then also make sure you're prepared for the loot island spawning in, so you can try and contest for that as well. And once you make it to endgame, like top 15 to top 10, start playing more passive and focusing on getting the win. And once it gets to around the top 10 or more towards the top 7 mark, this is when you should focus on trying to get a few more kills to maximize the amount of points you can get, but also make sure you're focusing on that win at the same time. Anyways, that's gonna be it for this video. If you have any questions about ranked or any questions at all about trying to escape, please ask them in the comments below, because I will try to respond to every single comment if I can. And if you like this video, you may also like this video on screen now.